more than you wanted to hear, huh?
Lots more than I wanted to hear.
November the 4th, Board of Cosmetology is called to order. We'll have the roll call starting with Ms. Williams. Just say your name and present, please.
Present.
June Huckabee, present.
Merle Smith, present.
Nina Coppinger, present.
Linda Colley, present.
Judy McAllister, present.
Rufus Hereford, present.
Earl Walker Ali, present.
Okay, if there would, a representative from each school that is here today would stand up, I'd appreciate it. Hey? Did you? Thank you very much, and we're so glad you're here. I'll turn this over to Miss Roxana so she can
Absolutely.
introduce our new board member.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to introduce our newest board member, Courtney Williams. She went through orientation this morning. She's completing her forms. We welcome you, and Courtney, if you'd like to introduce yourself, feel free.
Courtney Williams. I'm a Nashville native. I'm a student at Rhodes College in Memphis, and I am here representing the public.
What is your major?
I'm a religious studies and political science major. Yes, ma'am.
We have the August minutes in front of us, and they have been corrected. Do I hear any discussion, or do I hear a motion we accept? This is the August minutes.
Right, we had a
Correction.
couple of corrections on it, so now they're correct. And I make a motion we accept.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, second by Ms. McAllister, that we accept the August minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Also, we have the October minutes in front of us, and Ms. Smith brought to our attention that there's one slight little error that Ms. Roxana is going to fix for us. It was on page 17, where it said Judy McAllister made the motion and seconded by Judy McAllister, and it was really Nina Coppinger made it, Ms. McAllister seconded it. That's going to be corrected. So we'll go with those next month.
Can we go ahead and,
It's already signed. If you're okay with me switching page 17, we can go ahead and accept it as it is, and
Okay.
then we'll publish it on the website with page 17 switched.
Okay,
Is
do
that
I hear a
okay?
motion we accept?
Make the motion we accept.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Ali, that we accept October minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Okay. Bill's not here. Okay. Mr. Abdi, to the podium, please.
This is a reciprocity application that you've got on your tablets on page 3 for Mrs. Afsaneh Abdi, and they would like to, they've written a letter to the board explaining their situation. I just thought I'd recap real quick. They have come in front of the board before, not in front of the board, but petitioned this reciprocity from Michigan. She successfully completed 1,500 hours at Genesis Career College in Tennessee in 2011, as she was instructed to do per the board meeting in December of 2010. At that time, the decision was also made that she take the Tennessee examination. Mrs. Abdi has taken the theory exam on 4 separate occasions, and her highest score was a 58%, and that is because of a language barrier. Given that English is her second language and Tennessee does not offer the testing in Arabic, she went to Michigan to take the Tennessee, the PSI exam. I spoke to Lynn Thomas, and that is basically the same type of exam we offer. They've just got the language options. She was able to pass the theory exam and get licensed in Michigan, and thought that that would help her come in through reciprocity. In August at our meeting, we looked at the situation, didn't have all those details, and so of course we recommended that she take the exam. So this situation has created a hard financial crisis for them, waiting all this long and trying to get her to take the hours and then pass in Michigan. So Mrs. Abdi is here with her husband to ask the board if they would consider again accepting her through reciprocity.
And what are the guidelines for Michigan? Do you know how many hours they require?
Michigan is the same 1,500 hours.
15,
yes.
okay.
It's just,
They
she
just
hadn't
gave the,
had,
they gave the test in Arabic.
they gave it in Arabic, and as I say that, give me a minute. That might have been the reason. It's Michigan. Yeah, cosmetology is 1,500 hours.
So she's passed the exam.
That is correct. And she's
she
brought
ha-
her exam results from Michigan. I didn't have access to those, but they brought them with them if you would like to see
And
them.
she passed.
In Michigan, yes.
Yeah, we have a page on that with her score from Michigan. Did you take the practical exam in Tennessee? Both of them?
She never passed the theory here, so she wouldn't have been able to take the practical until she
okay.
passed it. So in Michigan, she passed both.
Okay. And you took the exam in Tennessee 3 times? 4 times? Wow. Wow. Well, I've always I've been thinking lately that the language barrier is a problem, that we only offer the test in English when so I can see how that would be a problem, and you sure had perseverance to try it 4 times. I'd like to make a motion that we accept reciprocity.
I second that motion.
Motion's made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we accept her reciprocity from Michigan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Congratulations.
So much.
Good luck.
Thank you for being so persistent.
Thank you.
Done with this?
Yes. Good luck. You don't have to leave, though. It's up to you. You're free to do whatever you want now. I don't mean that literally. Kevin Johnson.
I went ahead and made paper copies of Mr. Johnson's request with Paul Mitchell. Friday, by the time he was able to make it in the office, we had completed the presentation, so it is not on your iPad. Mr. Johnson will explain. They're looking for a change of location for their school in Antioch.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think you guys have the information. What we're looking for, going ahead, getting our application into the board to look to move our Antioch location to a location currently right now looking in Mount Juliet that would have the necessary square footage that we're looking for. And I believe on a street location that would be more beneficial to us. Currently, if you've been to our school, I know Ms. Colley, you have, we're not necessarily on a main street there. And so this is, as we've looked over time, trying to find other opportunities that would be more on a more busy street. And so we have found a location there in the Providence area that I think would fit our size of school needs, particularly in the cosmetology, as well as I think on the layout that you have, you'll see ultimately we'll have barbering next door to cosmetology, but they'll have totally separate entrances. And that's why I tried to make sure you have a layout that shows you everything we're looking to move out there.
Okay, the dark shaded, is that the barber?
The dark shade is barbering, because obviously for this, I just want to make sure you guys see where
Yeah.
that space is, but I know this would be particular for cosmetology, which is 12,000 square foot.
Has this been presented to the barber board?
I would do that for,
Next.
I think their meeting is in 2 weeks, so we'll make sure we're on their end as well.
This is going to be in Antioch.
This will actually be in Mount Juliet.
Mount Juliet, okay. You're now in Antioch.
We're now in
Right,
Antioch,
okay.
yes.
I'm getting my little towns confused there. Are there any questions or any discussion? When do you plan on moving?
We're looking, I think I put a February 1st, 2014 date. It'll be early next year. But obviously for us being NACAS accredited, we've got to do that process and everything. So trying to get all the balls rolling that we have to do.
Madam Chairman, don't, you have to inspect it first.
Yeah, in February before they open. Yes.
Okay.
But he's just asking for permission to relocate. Is there any discussion, or do I hear a motion we accept?
Can I ask you how your present population is, are you getting good approval as far as your students that you have on board right now?
As far as being able to move, I think, you'll somewhat have a mix, obviously, with some, as they look at that location, it may not be the most beneficial for them, but overall, I think everybody will be there whenever, because obviously, where you've got now, you're going to have some that are there now that will be graduated and no longer there by the time we get to that point, given this is early next year.
Any more discussion, or do I hear a motion?
I'm just curious, how far is the move? How many miles?
I remember from MapQuest, I want to say it's somewhere around 18 to 20 miles
Oh, okay.
difference.
That's further down 24, correct?
It is actually, I guess if you took Hobson Pike out from Antioch, so it's more on 40. This location will be on I-40,
Oh, okay.
right there, right by I-40 in Mount Juliet.
Oh, accredited by NACAS.
Fit within that, that I have ran MapQuest to understand from those locations.
Any more discussion? I hear a motion.
I make a motion, we accept change of location.
Motion's made by Ms. Coopinger that we accept the change of location. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ali. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Thank you.
Madam President, Assistant Commissioner Bill Jennings has joined us. If we could go ahead and welcome him. He's got information, and we did give each of you a copy of the financial statement that he's here to update us on.
Assistant Commissioner Bill Giannetti, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you all are well. As Director Gamusio said, you should have in your packets a copy of the fiscal year end for 11-12, actually the previous 4 years. One of the things that we want to start doing from administration side is coming before the boards, all of the boards annually, and going over with you your financial numbers. We feel like it's important that you have some idea of where you're at, and that you understand where your licensee's money is going, and then to ask any questions that you might have. I'm going to try to run through this. I know you all have a very heavy agenda, so I'm going to try to run through this as quickly as I can for you. Does everybody have the data in front of them? Okay. If you start at the top, you can see fiscal year 11-12. You have for the past year in salaries, regular salaries and wages, you had $338,877. That is less than the previous 3 years. I would note that for part of the year we did not have an executive director, so that did have some impact on your numbers. Also, though, included in that was a 1.5% raise that went in effect on July 1. So, and then if you drop to the bottom, you can see that your travel is down from $29,441. The previous year was $38,587. If you notice in fiscal years 9, 10, 10, and 11, it was over $100,000. We attribute that to the leased cars that we purchased, or that we've contracted now, that all but one of your inspectors have a leased car, and we believe that that is saving money for your licensees. You will see that down at the bottom, if you drop to expenses, you can see that your total expenses again are down from 827.49 to 767.191. That includes your cars. So in spite of cost increases on just about everything else, we were still able to lower the expenses to the board for the year. That's, I would attribute to your great leadership that you have in the administrative office. Then if you go down to the next line, this is the part that you probably most have the interest in. This is your revenue. If you see licensing revenue, this past year was $1,807,000. The previous year was $1,914,000. And then, so you actually decreased in your revenue. Another thing that we're doing, we have not done in the past, is pulling out your case and complaint revenue so that you can see how much you actually, how much revenue that the board received for case and complaints. In years past, that's just been included in the large number. So you had $79,555 in complaint revenue. That left your fiscal year balance at $179,171, and which is great. You are in the black. We don't have to worry about a sunset because the board has not been self-sufficient. And again, I would attribute that to the great leadership that you have in place, watching your licensees' money. Your fiscal, your reserve balance now for in 11-12 was $447,000. It's now $631,000. So we're proud of that. You have this past year, the board had a total of 58,443 licensees. You had 370 complaints. So that's a very small percentage of complaints compared to the number of licensees that you have.
Sir, how many licensees did you say? 58,000?
443.
Thank you.
And before I move on and talk about some of the things that we're doing departmentally, I want to see if you guys had any questions about the books.
Have any questions?
We tell you really quickly, we have added a new inspector in the Clarksville area who is hit the ground running, is doing a fantastic job. And we also have opened up the register to hire an inspector in the Chattanooga area. So we hope to have that in place. At that point, we've been pulling inspectors from other areas to cover Chattanooga. We hope that once we get the new hire done, then all of the areas will be covered. The board has worked very hard the past year to make sure that every shop in the state of Tennessee got an inspection, as we are required to do. As you all probably are aware, in some cases that has not happened in the past decade. That is a top priority for the department and for the regulatory boards division, and certainly for the director, to make sure that those inspections are taking place. And we know that we can't do that if we don't have inspectors in all the areas. So we're addressing that. Got some exciting things that have been happening in the department. We are adding a new licensing system. We have purchased that. The contract is done. Your program, along with all the others, have been going through training processes, and to be able to transition into that new licensing system sometime late next year. We hope to have components of it working actually by the end of this year to begin training and transitioning. It is going to dramatically improve the experience for licensees coming to the program. I think it's going to dramatically improve the work environment for the staff. It looks like current technology, which is something that we have not had for a long time. The system that we're using today was purchased by the McWhorter administration in 1993. So you can imagine your cell phone has changed a little bit since that time. That's kind of, I would say, similar to the licensing system that we've had. So we also have how many of you have signed up for Notify? 2, 3. I encourage all of you to do that. That is the way in the future that we are going to maintain contact with licensees, with the public, certainly with the board members. We want to keep you constantly updated of anything affecting the board, and that is going to be a key component of the technology improvements that we're making. We've also been going through customer-focused government, which is a very high priority for the governor to dramatically change the culture of and the perception of state government, and that starts with the staff. Every single state employee will go through customer-focused government by the end of this year, and it is exciting. I have participated in all of the classes that have taken place in my division, and I have never seen the staff so excited about going to a training after they left. I think it has been very beneficial. It is truly going to change the perception of state government, and we are committed to doing that. The governor is committed to doing that. So that's all I've got. If you guys have any other questions.
I asked this once before, and I'm not sure where it stands now, but I asked about our PSI, our contract with PSI, and the only concern I have with that is, well, the main concern is the language, and because it is only offered in English. And so I was wondering when our contract with PSI is up and who negotiates those contracts for the testing company.
We negotiate those contracts as we did. We made a change recently to it. We are actively discussing with them adding languages. We've actually already received some very preliminary numbers as far as cost, and then we'll have to look at what we're trying to determine now is the licensee pool and the applicant pool, what makes sense economically for the board. It is not cost prohibitive, but it is expensive. But we feel like it is important and that we be able to do that. We know that based on the fact that other states are giving the test in different languages, that people are even traveling to those states. They're getting educated here and they're traveling to those states to take the test. So
We just had that before us a minute ago, so yeah.
we recognize that that's an issue, and we are very, very actively pursuing a solution to that.
Thanks.
I have one, it's more or less a statement. I'm so glad to have a new board member on board with us. My concern is that we do need one more, and we need someone that could inspect the East Tennessee schools. And I would just like to say that so that could be in the thought mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I assure you, we make that statement every time we speak to the governor's office about an appointment, and we recognize that we have a need there, and I can tell you that is certainly one item that they are using to consider a new appointment.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else? Y'all be safe. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. We've had several people coming into the room. Are there any schools that have arrived that were not spoken early in the meeting, that just arrived? Ma'am? Cookville? Don't forget that coffee. Any other schools have arrived? Okay, well, welcome. Okay, at this particular time, I will turn this over to Roxana.
Thank you. We are on page 16 of your iPads, applications for examination. The following individuals' documents are provided for you on your iPads for LaDonya Jones, Charlotte Height, and Athena Kruger, who have felonies and are submitted to the board for their approval. The required information, disclosure from the student, and a letter of recommendation is submitted.
How many of them are there?
4.
4? Okay.
No, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Jones, Height, and Kruger.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve for examination with a signed agreed order.
Motion's been made by Ms. Coopinger and seconded by Ms. Smith that we approve for the examination with a signed agree order. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next on the agenda is instructor seminar extensions, a request to extend continuing education from 2012 to 2014 For Ms. Anita B. Loy, the letter is provided where Ms. Loy states that she reached the board office repeatedly asking about her status, but didn't receive the necessary information timely in order to renew. Her license is otherwise current, but she did not attend continuing education when she needed to.
Madam Chairman, does the office know or recognize these calls that she said she made?
Just to clarify, I know that when she spoke to me, I told her that the board approved for financial reasons. They would probably not be approving, that there had to be a health reason. I wanted to make sure she knew what the rule was, and she said she really didn't. She had no one's names of who she spoke to, so I could not verify with the staff, but that's not to say that she didn't, or that the information could have been vague. By all means, our training is very focused on what they're supposed to be saying, but sometimes all the questions aren't as clear, so I couldn't really know for a fact who she spoke to or what was said.
When is the next available seminar? Madam Chairman, can you tell me that?
It's in February with expertise.
So when was the last, let's see, I'm looking now, I found it, never mind. She attended,
2010 is when she attended her last session.
she did not attend in 12 nor 13.
Correct.
Does she have a medical reason?
The reason is that she called the office and says that no one gave her the proper information.
It's in the law book, though.
I just have a feeling she's trying to shift blame to the office. I mean, it's her responsibility, I'm thinking, to know when she needs to do her continuing ed hours. I make a motion we deny.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we deny. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Next, we have an instructor request for inactive change. The request to place their license to inactive status for Ms. Wandra N. Kane. Ms. Kane has paid her fees but failed to complete her required continuing education within the 2 years. She lives out of state and would like the option to still place her instructor license on inactive status for the future in case she needs it.
Got an instructor license and you didn't go to seminar, you can't place it on inactive status. Oh, that's right.
front of you is the letter that she presented.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we deny this request.
Motion's been made by Ms. Smith that we deny this request. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Huckabee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes, carry.
Next, we have a request to bring an instructor license to active. Mr. Paul Berry is actually here today to speak and answer any questions you might have. Mr. Berry placed his license on retired status in April of 2012. Thank you. And he did not attend seminar at the time he went into retired status. He is over the age of 65, and he can reinstate his cosmetology license and aesthetics with paying his fees. However, the instructor piece requires him to attend and bring his seminar current in order to be reinstated. He's been offered an instructor job which is available immediately, and is asking the board to allow him to accept that job and take his continuing education at the February session.
How long have you been a licensed instructor, sir?
25 years.
25?
Yes, ma'am. Cosmetology since 1968.
And you put that on inactive in 2012?
Yes, ma'am. I think you all had a seminar in October, but at that time, I didn't know that I was going to get this job. And where I live, instructors' jobs just don't come up every day.
Where do you live, sir?
I live about 30 miles west of Clarksville in Dover, Tennessee.
Glenn Wallace territory.
Yes, sir. A lot of Wallaces.
And you say you've been an instructor for 27 years?
25.
25, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you kept your license active up until 12?
Yes, ma'am.
Are here any discussion? We okayed this particular situation. He could go to work immediately on the condition that you attended in February.
I'd be glad to, ma'am.
I'm just talking in general.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you normally attended the ones in Nashville, the seminars?
Not Nashville or Knoxville. And in 13 or last year, I went with my daughter, but my license was retired. She's also an instructor, and she went to Memphis. But I used to, a long time ago, when there was only one seminar, and that was in Nashville, I used to help David from Memphis with those seminars for about 5 years.
Are there any questions for Mr. Berry? Or any comments? Sure, you're like me, you've attended many, many, many
Yes, ma'am.
seminars.
And being with high school, lots of staff development.
But I do like the way they're teaching how to teach versus technical,
Right.
like they're doing recently.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we accept his request.
Motion's been made by Mr. Herford that we accept. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Ellie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes, carry.
Thank you so much.
Attend in February.
Thank you so much. And I can start this immediately? Yes, sir. Do I need to go up and pay my fee?
That's important. That's important.
Thank
Good-
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda are our field trips, and they're a lot less than last month. So you've got the spreadsheet in front of you. The first field trip request is from Empire Beauty School for the student salon class of the Hair Design School Memphis Highland on November the 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. to go to Serenity Towers Highland. The educational facilitator and educators will be Scott Franklin and Weston. The class curriculum during that week is job search. And I can keep going and we vote at the end. Is that okay? The next field trip request also from Empire Beauty Schools for the student salon class of Empire Beauty School Colonial to go to 5063 Park Avenue Supercut Salon on November the 12th from 10 to 2. The facilitator will be Mrs. Burnett. The class curriculum during that week will be job search. Ms. Brittany Briggs is the educator who will accompany the students. Next field trip request is from Fayetteville College of Cosmetology, Arts and Science to take students to the Ronald McDonald House in Nashville to perform manicuring services for the families that are staying there on November the 13th from 10 to 2. Field trip request from Love Beauty School to go to Performance Studios in Nashville to purchase theatrical makeup for the Halloween holiday. The field trip is on Wednesday, October the 9th between 9 and 3. Field trip request from Love Beauty School, who is volunteering to provide hair and makeup services with the Manchester Arts and Theater in Manchester, Tennessee during November of 2013 and January of 2014. They will be working with Spamalot and Stage Door. The aesthetics and cosmetology students will be helping on November the 1st through the 3rd and November the 8th through the 10th, and in January of 2013, the 17th through the 19th and the 24th through the 26th. That is all we have for field trips this time.
On the Love's Beauty School,
Yes.
they want to go to Performance Studio in Nashville to purchase theatrical makeup for Halloween. That's over.
Well, yeah, they're a lot of
They're
times.
wanting,
Right, they missed
Hours.
the last cutoff.
Is that open to the public, Performance Studios?
I assume that it is.
So you could go there anytime and buy anything?
That don't sound like a school field trip. With a learning experience.
questions or comments on any of the 1, 2, 3, the 5 field trips? Any comments on the 2 at the top, which are almost identical?
The only one I had a problem with is the Performance Studios purchasing makeup trip. The rest seem okay to me. I'll make a motion that we accept all, except the Love Beauty School field trip to the Performance Studios to purchase theatrical makeup.
Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we accept all the field trips except Love Beauty School for the Performance Studio trip. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next, we are ready for applications for reciprocity. And we start on page 51. Application for renewal of a manicurist license from California for Mr. Thang N. Chu. Certification verifies the applicant was licensed by examination. Initial date of licensing is July of 2001. Tax returns are provided from 2008 through 2012, but not all of them show proof of work in the industry. The recommendation is that the applicant be approved for reciprocal license.
He holds a California license?
That is correct.
Y'all notice where they're trying to form a new state in California called the Jefferson State? They want to secede from themselves, basically.
Wow.
Excuse me.
It says occupation, customer service. What does that mean?
And that's the problem with the tax forms. When you complete them, sometimes they'll be very specific. When it's the 1040, a lot of times we don't know that they're really in the industry. On a few of the years, it is specific and it's very obvious. Sometimes it isn't. When they submit the actual, your W-2 form, it's easy there to see that it came from a nail salon or whatever. But with the 1040, it isn't always easy.
One says customer service, one says receptionist. One does say nail receptionist.
In 2008, he's got nail care, so. License has been active since 2001. We can, if you prefer on this one, ask for additional documentation from a specific salon.
Like more documentation?
How many hours is the manicurist in California? Is it 400?
$400. Yes, $400 for nail tech.
But your recommendation was that we approve?
Given the years that he's been licensed in the field. And the 1040 is really hard to see whether they worked or not, but we can definitely ask in the letter that he provides specific information from where he worked, whether a letter signed and notarized, copies of the W-2s themselves, or 1099.
Chairman, I make a motion that we do that, what's suggested, and get in more information, and we will review it at the next meeting.
Motion's been made by Ms. Smith that we get more information from him and review it at the next meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Huckabee. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of esthetician license from Washington for Christine G. Dunham. Certification is obtained from license verification, shows an initial license date of March 2011. Washington no longer mails certification. We have to go online and print those ourselves. So they'll start looking a little bit different because of that. The name change documentation is also provided along with a diploma reflecting 700 hours completed instead of the normal 600 hours required. Recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
I make a motion that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Florida for Tanya Fuller. Certification shows initial licensure in August 2012. The transcript confirms the 1,200 hours. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion she take the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Smith, seconded by Ms. McAllister that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license for Kie Mai Thai Ho. Certification from California shows initial licensure in March 2013 and Texas shows licensure in September of 2007. Tax records provided from 2008 through 2012 all show working in Texas in the industry. Recommendation is that the applicant be approved for a reciprocal license.
Why did this one come before us?
Because California is the current license he has, and it's less hours than we have, but
Does he have the 5-year work history?
8 through 12.
Oh, and so,
yes,
but it stops at 12.
Well, he's got 5
he
years. though.
does. But he's got the 5 years.
What was the recommendation?
That he be approved for reciprocity.
No. I make a motion, we approve for reciprocity.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. Ali, that we accept reciprocity. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license from Florida for Tramho. Certification shows initial licensure date in April 2009 and 500 hours received. Tax records from 2008 through 2012 don't all show the work in the industry, and she was not licensed for the 5 years required. The recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion to take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Coopinger, that she sit for the Tennessee examination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license from Virginia for Uyen Tu Huynh. Certification shows initial license was issued in December of 2011 with 1,500 hours. Recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination. I'm sorry, with 150 hours.
I make a motion, she take the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Mr. Herford. Thank you. My brain went dead. That she sit for the exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license for Lumeri Iselim from Puerto Rico. Certification mailed by applicant along with transcript and other supporting documentation. Records show 1,500 hours and licensure by examination issued in 1995. Board office is able to check authenticity of license numbers with Puerto Rico Auxiliary Secretary online system, and it does not match the applicant's information. The recommendation is that the applicant be denied reciprocity until proper documentation can be verified. If you recall, in a previous meeting, we weren't able to contact them. I actually have been able to. We have an individual we can work with. We have an online system that I can verify. And so if the information doesn't match, my recommendation will be, unless they provide a different state's certification or something that we can verify, that we deny.
I make a motion that we concur with your recommendation, ma'am.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Herford, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we concur with your recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from the Republic of Senegal in West Africa for Asetu Quartet. Official certificate states the applicant was licensed since December of 2011. Transcript shows classes received during a 3-year period. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
And this is for what license?
This is for cosmetology.
Cosmetology.
Madam
Make the
Chairman,
motion.
Go ahead.
I make the motion that they take the Tennessee exam.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Smith, that they sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license from Georgia for TNH Lai. Certification shows initial licensure in April of 2006 with 525 hours. Tax records from 2008 through 2011 are provided and show work in the industry. By email, Ms. Lai stated that she did not work in 2012. The recommendation is that the applicant be approved for reciprocal licensing.
discussion, or do I hear a motion?
But I was looking to see, her license are from Georgia,
Yes.
and
It's 525 instead of the 600 hours.
did she take an exam?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I was looking for.
Your recommendation was
Was to issue her reciprocity.
reciprocity. Says on her income tax forms that she's definitely been working as a nail tech. Got her license in '06. Has her license expired in Georgia?
No, I think it's still current, I think to 2015. Oh, no, I'm lying. Right, it expired in August. Now, we had her paperwork, we've been waiting on the tax records, so we received everything. We couldn't present her at the last meeting because of the tax forms. And frankly, we kept waiting on the 2012 because she said she'd been working prior to, and we couldn't quite get all the information we needed. But per email, she did finally respond that she didn't have tax records for 2012. And so in the meantime, her license did expire.
She would have to activate that
Right,
before we could even consider.
consider it.
And she doesn't have the 5 years. I mean, so it is yours.
Okay,
Her license are expired now, and
could we give her advice of what to do?
Could she present a renewed application and be granted to test? Or would you like her to re-present with maybe even prior year's tax records?
Okay, so Ms. Smith's made a motion that we do not accept the reciprocity at this moment, but I think you're saying if we get more information,
we would consider
we
it.
could consider, one being her license be active, and secondly, more work history. Do I hear a second to that? Seconded by Ms. Huckabee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of esthetician license from Florida for Ann Go certification shows initial licensure in August 2008 with 260 hours. Tax records from 2008 through 2012 do not all show work in the industry, and none show work in aesthetics. Recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion to take the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Coopinger, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Puerto Rico from NACRI certification was mailed by the applicant along with transcript and supporting documentation. Records show 1,500 hours and licensed by examination since 1997. Board office is able to check authenticity of license numbers with Puerto Rico Auxiliary Secretary online system, and it does not match the applicant's information. The recommendation is that the applicant be denied reciprocity until proper documentation can be verified.
I move that we deny.
Motion made by Ms. Huckabee,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Smith, that we deny until further information. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we back up one moment on that previous one? When are her license,
It expired 8/31.
okay. No, the one just now we've just done is, October 31st.
On the one from Puerto Rico, from Ms. Nye?
Yes.
Are you on page 145? The certificate from Puerto Rico?
The one we just previously done.
Oh, prior to,
And-
and no, okay.
Yes.
It expired August 31st, so she would have to renew her reciprocity with Georgia and present more tax information or work history.
Okay, proceed.
Ms. Lai is the one you made the motion on. I'm sorry, Ms. Smith. Is that the one you were looking at or the next one?
No, the and, wait just a
And
minute.
no, okay.
And I've done,
She is from Florida and it expires October 31st, so she did submit it all
That's right.
timely.
October 31st.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Absolutely. Application for reciprocity of esthetician license from Nebraska for Cherise Dawn Obermeyer. Certification verifies licensure by examination and initial date in February 2012 with 600 hours. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that she sit for the examination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of esthetician license from New York for Hyaning Ki. Certification shows initial licensure by examination taken in Chinese, with the practical exam passed in June of 2013. New York only requires 600 hours for it to be completed. Recommendations that the applicant take the Tennessee examination. The language will be an issue. But
Any discussion, questions?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion she take the Tennessee exam.
Motion made by Ms. Smith, she sit for the Tennessee exam. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. McAllister. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Florida for Sergio Alberto Rodriguez. Certification reflects 1,000 hours of schooling, licensure by examination, and initial date of August 2011. Also provided is a letter from Salone Euphoria stating Mr. Rodriguez worked part-time while he was in school and full-time from the time of licensure, which is until March 2013. The recommendation is that he take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion that he take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that he sit for the exam. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Puerto Rico for Jacqueline Swift. Certification mailed by the applicant along with transcript and other supporting documents. Records show 1,500 hours and licensure by examination issued in 1996. Board office is able to check authenticity and the license numbers with Puerto Rico's Auxiliary Secretary online system, and it does not match the applicant's information. The recommendation is that the applicant be denied reciprocity until proper documentation can be verified.
Make the motion, we go with your recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Mr. Hereford, that we deny her application until we get further information. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of natural hair stylist license from Florida for Denye Fatu Tori. Certification from Florida verifies licensure by examination and initial date of January 2007 with 160 hours. Tax records were provided to the board office with support in the work industry. An approval letter was mailed in September because it seemed that she met the work experience needed, and the director approved the application. The audit process of the office found that the address on the tax forms revealed she had been working in Tennessee. We contacted Ms. Torres, and she's providing a letter. The license was not issued once we realized that that was the situation with the address. And so at this point, because I've spoken to her and gone over her information, the letter is provided. I will let you all decide what you would like to do. Her letter is on page 166.
So she's been practicing in the state of Tennessee without a Tennessee license?
For how long?
Her records are for all 5 years. I believe the first one is in 2008.
Keeping her Florida license current, so she wouldn't be working without a license in Tennessee.
Inspectors in that area found anything regarding, run across her?
Her shop has been inspected. I don't know if already in this last year, but she's never had any issues. It's just this license issued now. So she's not always there, so they did not notice that her license wasn't a current Tennessee license, if that's the question. Our recommendation could be that she test. It's whatever.
What are
You
the
decide.
options?
You could, I guess, ask for more hours.
Yep.
Ask for more hours, given that Florida just does the 150, I think it is.
So the hours would be for a natural hair license.
Correct. I believe they do.
Is that offered in her area?
That I don't know. It's a 2-day 160 hour course in Florida. So she has 160 hours in Florida, and that goes back to 2007. She's maintained a current. So an option could be to do more schooling, or to test. Yeah, she's been practicing without a license, so.
I would like to make a motion to recommend that she take the test, because if we recommend additional hours, and there's no place for her to get the hours,
Motion,
she's not gonna be able to obtain those hours.
motion made by Ms. Ali that She sit for the Tennessee exam, natural hairstyling. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Hereford. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology documentation from Colombia, South America is provided for Ms. Ludolfia Sylvia Turner. Documentation provided by Ms. Turner shows completed 240 hours in the field of cosmetology, but there's no way to compare the hours to the curriculum we have. Also, Colombia does not certify licenses. The recommendation is that the applicant continue her schooling until she meets the 1,500 hours required, and then she take the Tennessee examination.
I make a motion that we go with the recommendation.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. Smith, that she could, we go with the recommendation of her attending the school and then take the exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Puerto Rico for Amanda Yang. Certification mailed by applicant along with transcript and other supporting documentation. Records show 1,500 hours of licensure by examination issued in 1998. Board office is able to check authenticity of license numbers with Puerto Rico's auxiliary secretary online system, and it does not match the applicant's information. The recommendation is that the applicant be denied reciprocity until proper documentation can be verified.
Make the motion, we go with your recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Coopinger, that we deny and go with your recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried. Why are there so many that we cannot match? That's a statement. That's not a question. I didn't expect you to answer. Sorry.
Absolutely. So we are done with reciprocity. I'm going to turn it over to Rob for the legal report, unless you would like to take a break.
You like to take a break? Yes?
Oh,
They want a break. Take a short break.
10 minutes?
Yes. 10-minute break.
Hey, Rob, get you a Red Bull or some kind of power drink.
So we can talk fast.
Mr. Herndon?
Not as bad as it looks. It's actually shorter than most times. And I think it's, what page does it start on?
Page 188.
I'll just read everything, and then it seems to be that's what y'all prefer, so I'll go ahead and do that. And then you can make notes and come back to the ones you got questions about. So under the first title, housekeeping issues, this case is an old one, 2010-017411. And this matter is presented to the board at its August 5th, 2013 meeting as follows. It's actually the third time. March 31, 2010, notice of violation alleges that liquid MMA was found in a licensed shop. No prior history. You authorized a civil penalty of $1,000. I sent it out as you asked me to. Nothing happened. It eventually made its way to litigation, and then since that time, the inspector who issued the notice is retired and is now not a witness anymore, so we don't have a witness. A recommendation was made to accept to rescind the previous consent order, approve a letter of warning, and close the case, and that's what we did. Strangely, when the letter of warning was received, they sent the civil penalty in, but now we don't have any authority to accept it. So,
Excuse me.
I don't know why it took so long, but the recommendation is approve authority to accept the civil penalty and maintain closure of the case. 2. 2013-003781. The complaint was previously presented as follows. A January 18 notice of violation alleges the shop was open for business. The owner of the shop was performing nail service on a client without a license. And board office records indicate no applications for the shop has been received. Based on that presentation, the board authorized a $500 civil penalty, cease and desist notice. The update is the respondent shop is no longer operating, and this has been verified by the inspector. Board it up. So recommend close the case, flag the file for action if they attempt to reobtain a license. Number 3, 2013-005151. This matter was presented previously as follows. Notice of violation and accompanying inspection sheet alleges the area inspector observed a licensed stylist practicing in an unlicensed shop. The inspector states that there were some sanitary violations. Because the respondent's not currently licensed by the board's authority to sanction the respondent's conduct and assess a civil penalty is restricted to unlicensed activity. That recommendation, the board authorized a hearing and civil penalty of $1,000. The update on that one is that consent order was not responded to because the shop is now operating under a new owner. Recommend close the case and flag the file for action upon any attempt to apply for a licensure by the original respondent. Keep a record on. Second title, new cases. Number 1, 2013-00491. The complaint alleges that the respondent, a licensed cosmetologist instructor, participated in an operation to provide licenses to applicants for a fee and without the applicants completing any educational experience or exam requirements. This activity would violate our statute for revocation. The complaint file contains several affidavits from the applicants that were approached for these proposals, which provide identification, expressions of instructions received that no schooling or examination was required, and that the applicants paid large sums of money for this service. Recommend authorize a formal hearing with authority to settle to pursue revocation of the respondent's license and a civil penalty of $1,000 for each of the 14 affidavits, for a total civil penalty of $14,000. Number 2, 2013-013961. The complaint alleges that this respondent, cosmetologist, purchased required educational hours without actually completing any of the other requirements. This is pretty much his fraud obtaining a license. The information comes to the board office through a member of the public who refused to file a written complaint. A review of the respondent's file does not reveal any inappropriate activity in obtaining the license. There's been no complaint history since initial licensure in 2005. So recommend dismiss the case for lack of grounds for discipline. Number 3, 2013-012911. Notice of violation alleges the respondent in a shop has utilized at least one unlicensed person. Recommend a civil penalty of $250. Authorize a formal. Number 4, 2013-014501. This notice of violation alleges the respondent failed to display proper licenses, failed to ensure all employees are wearing name tags. Authorize a formal hearing with a civil penalty of $500, $200 for each violation. Number 5, 2013-015211. Complaint alleges the respondent in an unlicensed shop has not paid the required fees to relocate the business as of the deadline. No inspection report accompanied the notice, which indicates that a warning was issued, and there's no complaint history. So recommend close the case with the letter of warning. Number 2013-009151. The complaint alleges the respondent manicure shop failed to ensure that all employees are wearing name tags and was offering services not authorized by the issued license. Recommend authorize the matter for a formal hearing with authority to settle for a civil penalty of $500. 7, 2013-012781. The complaint alleges the respondent shop failed to ensure all individual licenses were properly displayed, that the shop's wet sanitizer was properly maintained, and failed to properly sanitize and store everything. So approved for a formal hearing with authority for a civil penalty of $750. We'll settle the matter. 8, 2013-012861. The complaint alleges the respondent shop has a fish tank in the premises in violation of our rule against that. There's no inspection report submitted to support it, and there's no complaint history, which means we don't have much of a case. So recommend close the case with a letter of warning because of the lack of supporting documentation. 9, 2013-013051. Complaint alleges the respondent shop failed to properly display inspection reports and to properly label everything. So recommend formal hearing with authority to settle with the civil penalty of $500. 10, 2013-014171. This is a consumer complaint along with the notice of violation alleges the respondent manicure shop was employing at least one unlicensed person. Its manager failed to ensure that the shop was in compliance with all sanitary rules. Recommend a formal hearing with authority to settle for a civil penalty of $500. Number 11, 2013-018271. Another complaint alleges the respondent, an unlicensed person, was providing cosmetology services without a license. No complaint history. Recommend issue a cease and desist order and close the case. 12, 2013-017621. Consumer complaint alleges the respondent, an unlicensed person, was providing services, same as before. Recommend issue a cease and desist and close the case. 2013-017201. The complaint alleges the respondent licensed cosmetology shop failed to properly display a sign at its entrance, identifying it as such. The respondent shop is a private residence identified only by an address number rather than a name, which the respondent says that's the name, it's a number. No complaint history for this respondent. So recommend issue a letter of instruction notifying the respondent that the sign must be clear and identifying the establishment. Fourteen, 2013-012141. Consumer complaint alleges the respondent licensed shop has inadequate ventilation and running water. An inspection was conducted shortly after and did reveal that the respondent failed to properly display licenses, failed to display the inspection report, failed to ensure that all trash containers were properly covered, soiled towels were properly maintained and covered, and all products were labeled. Strangely, there's no complaint history for this respondent. So recommend approve the matter for a formal hearing with authority to settle by consent order for a civil penalty of $750. Number 15, 2013-014471. A notice of violation alleges the respondent shop failed to post its shop license. 5 workstations were set up and only one person with a license. Board office records indicate that the shop license had been expired since January 31st of last year, and the shop is now out of business. There's no indication that services are being provided at the inspection time, and there's no complaint history. Recommend close the case, flag the respondent's file, with the option to reconsider if new information arises. 2013-015171. A notice of violation alleges the respondent license shop failed to post its license or inspection sheet, failed to display all individual licenses, and basically failed to ensure that the place is relatively clean. Failed to clean workstations and failed to cover clean tools. Recommend approve the matter for a formal hearing with authority to settle by consent order for a civil penalty of $250 for each of the 5 observed violations for a total of $1,250. 2013-015181. A notice of violation alleges the respondent licensed manicure shop was employing at least 2 individuals without a license, and that the respondent failed to ensure all employees were wearing the name tags and properly stored towels. Recommend a formal hearing with authority to settle for $750 civil penalty. 18, 2013-015221. A notice of violation alleges the respondent manicure shop was employing at least 1 individual without a license, failed to display all licenses, failed to ensure all employees were wearing name tags, and failed to ensure that everything was sanitary. To recommend approve the matter for a formal hearing, settle the matter with a civil penalty for $250 for each of the 4 violations for a total of $1,000. 19, 2013-014511. Notice of violation alleges the respondent, a licensed cosmetology shop, was employing at least 2 individuals without a license, failed to ensure everybody is wearing name tags. There's no complaint history. Recommend a formal hearing, authority to settle for a total civil penalty of $500. Now we move to the ongoing reciprocity saga. Under the next title, reciprocity cases presented to close. 1, 2013-07921. The above case was investigated for reciprocity issues and was found to be properly awarded, and it's presented to close. 1, 2013-018631, 2013-019731. Administrative Board Office complaint has been filed against the above referenced 3 respondents alleging fraud in obtaining a license through reciprocity. Upon review of the Board Office records, a letter was sent to the respondents in the reciprocal states requesting certifications, proof of education. All responses requested from the reciprocal states have come in. Each of which license search was made for each respondent listed, and no records were found that indicate any respondent is currently licensed, never been licensed in such states. Board Office records indicate that the respondent's license have now expired. Good. Recommend close the complaints and flag the respondent's licenses file. In the event of reapplication, the respondents must be approved by the board in order to obtain a license. All right, last heading, reciprocity cases presented for disciplinary action. The numbers are 2013-010161, 2013-010151, 2013-010031, 2013-017071. Administrative Board Office complaint was filed against the above respondents alleging fraud in obtaining licenses. And it looks like something up. So we recommend refer the cases to litigation with authorization for a formal hearing to seek license revocation for all 4 of them. And that's it.
Is there any discussion?
Could we review number 3 again, please? In the first section.
3 of 18, page 3 of 18. One of the previously presented ones.
This was one that it changed ownership. Is there not any way that we can prevent someone else going in under a new name when the actual site was disapproved?
Make every effort to do that. This is one of those rare cases where the succeeding person has no connection to the previous one, and the previous one doesn't seem to exist, at least that we can find. I'm sure they exist, we just can't find them. If they do crop up again and try to apply, then we'll have them then. I know what you're saying, though. It's a phenomenon where they just switch owners between a particular group. That's not the case here.
Ask a question also, Mr. Go ahead.
We're on that note, the new system that we'll be getting is going to help us tie identities and do some cross-checking like that we're unable to do, to kind of help with that.
On page 7, case number 5, unlicensed shop is not paid the required fee to relocate the business as the deadline as of September 30th, 2012. No inspection report accompanied the notice of violation, which indicates that a warning was issued. There's no complaint history.
Yes, the only thing that I have violation. See, the thing that really anchors our case is the inspection report. That's the document that you give to the shop. The notice of violation, and they circle warning, to me that indicates that they didn't cite them for anything. They just issued a warning. So there's really nothing for me to travel on. If I had an inspection report and they marked that they violated a particular thing, it would be a much stronger case. And that's why I recommended a letter of warning in this case.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
About number 8, about a fish tank. No inspection report submitted in support of the allegation.
Right, same.
Wouldn't, couldn't an inspector go in there and see where they've got a tank or not?
Well, no comment. You would think they
No
could.
comment.
I think they should be able to.
Well,
I think
it-
they should also issue an inspection report and mark that as a violation, but they didn't. They didn't submit an inspection report. They sent a notice of violation with no inspection report, which again, that's our case. What I'm hoping to do is next time they inspect this particular shop to make sure that we get an inspection report that has that marked on it.
okay, so that means until you get an inspector that's, just gonna go in and maybe not, mark that, then it's okay?
Not okay, but it's very difficult to prove in a formal hearing.
Not send another inspector if that one is not doing it?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
That's a remedial
Well, that's-
measure that I've
yeah,
certainly thought about.
Sure.
It's just in this particular case that I have to work with, there's just nothing in there for me.
Any other comments or questions? If not, do I hear a motion that we accept the recommendations?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the recommendations.
Motion made by Mr. Herford that we accept the recommendations. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Ali. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. And I was told at break, we being the board members, have to speak into our mics louder.
Next is the consent orders for the month of September, or October, I'm sorry. We have a total of $2,500 in consent orders for the month of October in front of you.
I hear a motion we accept.
Move that we accept the consent orders.
Motion made by Ms. Ali that we accept the consent orders. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Coopinger. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Next on the agenda, we have just an update on the rulemaking process. Rob will answer any questions you may have. I do have the draft copy that we looked at last month in case anybody wanted to look at anything again. We haven't made it.
One thing that I made a change on based on last time's comment was on page 3, and it was item G. Says one wet sterilizer at each student workstation. I don't think it's reflected on yours, but we struck out at and put for each student, and then struck out workstation.
Sorry, what page was that?
Page 3.
Okay, you did what now?
On item G in the first rule amendment, where it currently says one wet sterilizer at each student workstation, there were comments that we should strike out the word at and put for, and then strike out workstation, so what it will say is one wet sterilizer for each student.
That's for G.
I don't think that's reflected in what you have. That's the only thing I marked on here that I didn't get.
And it was based on your conversations?
Yeah.
Ms. Huckabee. Does anyone need a copy?
You mark out the, under number 2, the G, under number 2, the electric heating mask?
Yeah, the copy I have's got a line through it.
Oh, that's right. You're correct. I'm sorry.
This is what we call a red line version, even though there's no red in it. But it shows you that everything that's struck out is to go away, and everything that's underlined is new. take a look, I'll explain again how rulemaking works, just so you'll know what the next step is.
Can you repeat what you just said?
After y'all take a look at the draft there, I'll explain the rulemaking procedure so we can be familiar with what the next step is. This is a protracted procedure. It takes a long time. Lots of different people have their hands on it.
Roxanne, I know this is not what we're on the subject at this time, but in our minutes, a schedule for, this coming year, 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
The December, I think that's the one that should have been the 1st instead of the 8th that you've got down.
He was gonna check. That was in June.
June has changed. They're already posted online. June, I had it the second Monday instead of the first Monday. I think
Okay,
June
but
was-
on the sheet that was in our packet, look at December.
Okay.
The only other thing I think, I can't remember if we mentioned this last meeting or not, but on page 4, under the number 3 item, the floor space,
Yeah.
we just kind of, I thought that was really vague, and I didn't know if we needed to be more specific or.
Well, I think that came about because we don't want people to use hallways and some of the things we've been seeing that were questionable as far as what they're really instructional space. But yeah, you can be as specific as you want. But
Well, I don't know what I would change it to at this moment, but
Uh,
it says adequate instruction floor
Yeah.
space, and that's,
that would mean it would be a case by case for you, and they brought it to you if you decide it's adequate. We don't want to make it so restrictive that it's tough to meet, you know? Because sometimes when you're looking for a place to put a shop, you have what you have, and little flexibility in it. You just can't use hallways, like exits and things like that.
So can that include the clinic floor ever, or should it say not to include the clinic floor?
Well, the things we're saying it doesn't include are storage, restrooms, utility rooms, passageways, or inhabited administrative spaces such as reception areas, offices, and break areas. Those are the specific things we've listed. And it says shall not include such spaces as, so you could consider other spaces. It's not limited to that. Pretty much things that are obviously not instruction space.
On page 5. Yes, sir, on page 5, number 1 and number 2, I need a little more explanation on those. To me, it's not specific enough. Apprenticeship student means a student enrolled in a school participating in apprenticeship program with the intention of completing the school curriculum under the school apprenticeship program. What does that mean, under that school apprenticeship program?
Offers both apprenticeship and standard, and make sure that the student that's under the apprenticeship pathway is identified as an apprenticeship student. That's all that means. Two different pathways to graduation.
Under number 2, it says the supervising licensed professional will provide the participating school with the student apprenticeship activity record. Does that mean that the board's got to make an activity record?
Have to do a couple of forms, probably, one of them being this, so that the person that we're calling a supervising licensing professional has something that they can complete. We'll provide the form like we do an application when you get a new license. It'll be something we'll put together, yes.
Would you like to explain the next procedure, Mr. Herndon?
This is one of the longest things that boards ever try to do, is write rules that it can literally take at least a year, usually longer than that, because there's so many statutory waiting periods that are built into it. What we're doing now is trying to come up with I hate to say rough draft, but at least a draft of how we think we might want the proposed rules to look. After we get it sort of the way that you want to see it, then I have to send it through all the approval chains in this department and the Attorney General's office to get approval, and the Governor's office to move forward with them and to get a hearing date. After I get approval for a hearing date, I got to come back to the board and propose a regulatory flexibility analysis for you to review and approve. That has to be done prior to filing the notice. So how many meetings is that?
4.
After that, we have to come back and get you to approve the notice to give me permission to file it. After we file it, it takes 50 days, business days plus 5 actual days in the future to set the date, wherever that happens to fall. After that, we have the actual hearing, which is open to the public, because that's how laws are made in the legislature. That's how we make rules here. It's open for public examination and debate. At that time, the proposed rules we're not married to. At that time, after we hear public comment, we can adjust them the way we feel we have to. After that, I send them to the Attorney General's office for review of legality, so they can tell us that we're able to do what we want to do. And after they send it back and forth to me a few times, I file it with the Secretary of State's office, and it has to sit there for 90 days at a minimum, which is 3 months. After that, we have to go up to the Government Operations Committee of the General Assembly and explain the rules to them and answer any questions they have, and they have to approve them because the legislature has the final say. So at the best, I don't know, a year or more. And at that time, this legislature will go in session before too long. And they may do something that's going to change, well, everything. We may have to completely redo these, either eviscerate them or alter them. if they do something that impacts what we're doing here, because they'll change our statutory authority. So I'm not gonna cover it up. It's gonna take some time, and I'll keep you informed, because you're gonna see the drafts like you're seeing now. The commissioner's office may have something to say about it proposed, and then you'll have to look at what they have proposed. Well, maybe you should do this and that. So I can't tell you it's gonna be quick, because it ain't. Even in the best of circumstances, it's gonna be next year late. Or maybe, I don't know when it's gonna be, before they're effective.
Someone could have a baby before that was done.
Send them to school.
Is there anything else?
All these safeguards are built in to make sure that we do it right and protect the public, so.
Nice.
Is
Courtney, you may be the only one living long enough to get to the end of this.
Is there any other business to come before the board? If not, it's tradition, new board member has to make a motion. Motion's been made by Ms. Courtney to adjourn. Do I hear a second? Second by Ms. Ali. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Happy Thanksgiving. Adjourned.
Thanksgiving.
We've never gotten out this early. Welcome. Gee, I'm not starved to death yet.
Call me Merle.
It's not done, and it goes to formal hearing.